primary control of critical vehicle functions.
Hello, everybody. Welcome
Hello.
back to the Blind Wave Podcast. We're a little short on a few Blind Wave crew right now. Calvin should be here in a second. Rick may be joining us later. But right now, we are back for this Thursday. It's been, I think, has it been a couple weeks? We didn't have one last week.
It's been a bit.
We had a Donkey Kong maybe 2 or 3 before that.
Mm-hmm.
So
it has been a bit.
I hope you guys are doing well. Welcome. Thank you for coming back.
Yeah.
If you've been missing any streams, there's been a few changes lately, too, of some of the gaming streams we have.
Mm-hmm.
I've started Pokemon, which is on Saturday and Tuesday now, where I'm playing through the Scarlet Violet DLC. And then Calvin recently switched over from Starfield, and he's been playing Helldivers this week on Monday and Wednesday. So hopefully you guys have been checking that out and seeing how much he dies. Hi,
Waiting
Calvin.
for that flashy entrance.
Did you fix your Helldiving?
Yeah.
So yes, otherwise, Friday has also been Platinum Racing, Pokemon Platinum Race.
Pokemon Platinum, yep. I've been looking forward to that all week.
Yes.
I told Jake my strategy when you were out of the room, and he agrees. It is winning, and it is going to beat you.
You told him the strategy?
I told him what I was doing. He was like, oh my God, thank God you didn't tell Aaron. That's definitely going to win.
That's not what he said.
What happens when I pay him to give me your strategy?
Yeah, I talked, we did a fake conversation in front of Calvin.
Oh, okay.
That's not what happened.
It's not what said. That's not what happened. So, but no, I think that's most of the streams going on. So make sure you guys check those out. Usually 6 p.m. Eastern time for Monday through Wednesday. My Saturday has been at noon, and then 3 o'clock for today and Friday.
Yeah. We also want to make sure we're extending our hands and giving energy to the normies today who are going through some problems with their YouTube channel. They got hacked, and that sucks, and it's extremely stressful. So we're trying to give all positive thoughts going over to Indiana today.
Yes, very much so.
Indeed.
Yep. But luckily, they did get a hold of YouTube, so hopefully things will slowly be fixed. This exact scam that's happening right now, I think it's the exact one that happened to Corridor Crew, and their channel went down for a day or two, but it got back up, and they were able to restore everything.
That's good.
So
wishing the best for the normies then.
it's just
Yes, indeed.
when that's your job, that's that channel was everything you put your blood, sweat, and tears in. It's just when someone comes and takes that from you, that's a stressful feeling, I'm sure. So
It's a gut punch.
yeah. Yep.
In other news, if you haven't been to the site recently or haven't been checking out your recommendations, there has been a soft rollout of an update over there where recommendations, if you've been aware, you can recommend up to 3 things over on our website to help us decide on future polls or even just crew picks for TV shows and movies. That has since, thanks to Rick working on the website, been split to now 3 TV shows and 3 movies. There's 2 different listings that you can do. So because of doing this, it has also cleared out any recommendations that you did have. So make sure that you go and update your recommendations, even if you already had it before. At the very least, you get 3 more options now.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Absolutely.
So make sure you guys do that.
And do be sure you're putting the TV shows on that one list and the movies on the other list, because it's possible for you to put a TV show on the movie list.
Actually, we fixed that.
Never mind.
Eric,
I was all ready to be like, actually, but you know what?
Well, just double check.
Did you not get the memo?
I didn't get the memo.
Damn.
I wasn't listening.
But no, a lot of new updates will be continuing to come and change on the website, and we're hoping all of them will be for the better. Some of them will be smaller updates, some of them will be bigger updates. So, but this is one that I was excited for. So I appreciate Rick and the team working to get this one done, because after we initially launched the recommendations, this is the next step of what we wanted to have done with it, just because having the recommendations is great, but being able to split up the movies and the TV shows separately
it was
I think
huge.
is very helpful.
Yeah.
And gives everyone a little bit bigger voice rather than having to choose between, like, do I want TV shows or do I want movies?
Sure.
Yes, right.
And we have movie polls twice a month, right? TV shows come here and there, but then also crew picks can happen whenever we have some time that we want to pick something up. So
Yeah. It's like the dichotomy of like wanting to vote for the things that come more often or the thing that you're going to be able to watch for a much longer duration.
Yeah.
Right?
Or just change it daily.
Yeah. You could do that.
So I'm excited for this, but make sure you guys go and update all the recommendations. All you gotta do is log in to the website. You don't need like a Beyond or
You don't need a
Patreon
subscription
membership
or anything like that. Just make an account on the website and go to your recommendations and fill it out. And it's as easy as that, really.
Yes, Mary, if you want to put Star Trek on there, I mean, you could fill one whole list of Star
Do it.
Trek. Actually, you could fill both lists with Star Trek.
Please do it.
A lot of Star Trek.
The what?
There's a lot of Star Trek.
Yeah.
There is a lot of great TV and movies.
There is. Any more changes? Anything else? Oh, we announced something else, I think, like, since the last podcast, right?
WaveCon?
WaveCon.
WaveCon.
I mean, we've announced WaveCon before, but we had a video that gave a little bit more information, showed a little bit more of the venue, and tickets went on sale on the website as well. So that's all new since our last podcast. And if you haven't seen that, you can see all that over on blindweb.com. There is the blindweb.com/WaveCon, I believe, right, Rick?
Yep.
And that has information, FAQs, and it has access to buying tickets for whether it's just WaveCon. There's also the dorm that you can get if you don't want to do a hotel or anything locally. There's a dorm that's right there on campus next to the venue, and then there's also the boat ride, the sorority party, I believe as it's called,
Yes.
which will be separate as well. So those are the tickets that are available. So you can see all that over there, and the video that gives you a little glimpse of the venue and what kind of things will be going on. Did they ever catch the guy who strangled Eric with his tie in the WaveCon video? He looks
Never got
sus.
Never got him. That was my worst nightmare come to life.
Yeah, I think those are the main. I think that's the main news and updates for Blind Wave over the last week or two.
Absolutely.
But Donkey Konk is returning here in like 2 more weeks, and that's for Twilight Company, Battlefront Twilight Company, right? I think it's called Twilight Company.
I believe so. Yep.
So, if you guys
Been
wanna,
making good progress on that book.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be talking about that and more things Star Wars on that day. So make sure you guys join in for that as well. I think that's all I have for news, unless anyone has anything for the week or two or anything that they haven't talked about they want to bring up or talk about.
I have an infected foot.
Yes,
Does
you
anybody
do.
want to hear about that?
Yeah.
I definitely don't want to see it.
Aaron doesn't want to, but they do.
No, I haven't been feeling super well the last couple weeks, and I couldn't figure out necessarily why. I'm not even sure if this is exactly why, but yeah, I developed a pretty nasty infection in a wound I had on my foot for a while now, and finally getting it addressed and feeling a lot better.
Good.
But yeah, I did show it off to everybody. Felt good about myself.
Yeah.
Someone's like, "Ah!" when they look at you, you know?
Yeah, no, that's always
Yeah.
a good feeling.
Mm-hmm.
No, this
But
foot
no,
looks
yeah,
terrible.
it was, and it was weird too because it's like it's so towards the end of my like wound on my foot time too. Like I had that injury a long time ago. It feels like, and it usually things get infected quick.
Yeah.
This
Sure.
one was after a long time, so.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened and how it snuck up on you like that, because I was like, Jesus, Eric.
Yeah.
I feel like I would have noticed
That's terrible.
earlier.
Well, I mean, I didn't even start limping until
Is it your left or right foot?
my right foot.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's the side you ignore more.
It's true.
It definitely is a side I ignore. You're completely right. But no, I had, like I said, I had. What ended up happening, it's dumb, but I had this like skin tag on the bottom of my foot where it was just like, it was on kind of like a callus, and it was just sticking out, and I could like, feel it, when I was wearing a shoe and stuff. So I just grabbed it and pulled it off, but I ended up pulling off a little bit too much.
What did you pull it off with?
Just my fingers.
Okay.
I mean, it really felt like a fingernail that you hadn't taken off or something, Just kind of had that annoying feeling of like almost poking you.
Oh, like a hangnail?
So I should have went and
kinda
just, got like cuticle cutters or something,
Yeah.
But I was just impatient and just like, and then I ripped off a little too much. I was like, ow. Well, it'll be fine. So I just made sure that I kept, washing it every night.
That's probably what
And then
did
I
it.
forgot about it for like a month,
You used like improper soap or like contaminated soap or something like that, and you're just scrubbing the infection in.
Maybe. I don't think so.
If you drop your soap on like the floor, is the floor clean or is the soap dirty?
Soap's dirty.
See? So maybe that happened, Eric.
Yeah.
I do tend to just pick up the soap and put it right into wounds. I don't get water involved or anything, so maybe.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
don't scrub it a little bit, get the outer soap off so you get
No,
the inner soap
apparently
on?
I just pick up dirty soap and just
Man.
start putting that right into wounds.
That's
Yeah,
probably
no.
what happened.
Like
Yeah, I
mildew and
didn't
stuff
think
can
that would
grow
come
on
back
soap.
and bite me, but it definitely did. You're right.
Yeah, you should get a picture of that foot before it's gone. Like the
Should.
infection, not the foot itself.
I do have a picture of it.
That's
just
not
to
the foot
have.
pics that people want.
'Cause I've been taking
Post that on your
antibiotics
OnlyFans.
for, I don't know, 4 days or so now, and it's the part that makes you go like, oh my God, is pretty much gone. So I do have a picture to show because I have a doctor's appointment in the morning to follow up on.
Ah. Okay.
Good.
Yep.
So if they end up keeping you and you're not here in the morning, we'll know
That's
going
what's
on.
happening.
Well, no, you're dead.
Yeah.
not dead. You wouldn't be dead. They would just take the foot. It'd be like evolution,
Okay.
right? You guys watched that, didn't you? I think I missed it, but I think you guys watched it, right?
I have only seen it
Take
once.
the leg! Take the leg!
Yep.
That moment.
I love evolution.
They got the bug in him.
Yep.
Yeah. Was that with the axe?
I don't remember an axe.
Thinking of time with an axe.
But
Maybe.
you
I don't
can watch it again, Calvin. It's so good. I love that movie.
I do. It's. I
one
need
of
to
my-
make Carmen watch it.
It's one of my favorite science fiction-y kind of movies.
It's funny because we are preparing for April, and looking back at our One Piece reactions that we do ahead, I had made a joke in like 2027. I lost a foot, and then we're getting ready to do the 2028 video, and I'm like, oh no, what have I done?
It's coming to fruition.
Yeah.
Look what you've percepted. What's the word? It's like that where you can see the future.
Like, people hate our One Piece reactions so much
Precog.
that the things that we make up during those future videos actually start coming true.
Right?
You're looking for
Sheer bad
manifested?
karma.
Oh, excuse me. For better or for worse. Which
Aaron, you looking for manifested?
maybe. I don't know what word I'm looking for. I feel like it's a P word, but
Prophecy?
maybe prophesized. You prophesized this and it has come
Sure.
true. That might be what I'm looking at. That sounds right. But yeah, well, I hope you the best for your foot.
Yep. I'm also going to a toy show on Sunday, so I'm doing a lot of walking.
That's this weekend.
That's this weekend.
Cool.
You
Yep.
should cut a hole in your insole so you're putting less pressure on it.
Yeah?
That's all.
Okay.
Is it the idea of like those those
Those
like
orthopedic shoe thing.
well, I was thinking of like the donuts you have to sit on.
Oh, for like hemorrhoids and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like you get like a gunshot wound in the butt, so you gotta sit on the thing so that you can adjust how you're positioned a little
Yeah,
bit.
just get a hemorrhoid pillow for your foot, Eric.
Yeah. I could do that.
Just duct tape it to it. No one will notice.
Make it squeak. What? What?
Put a whoopee cushion on the bottom of it for
That
extra
only
cushion.
works once.
Huh? No, it doesn't.
When?
Whoopee cushion doesn't only work once. It
You
reinflates.
gotta blow it up.
No, you don't.
Yeah, you do.
The shitty ones maybe, but the ones with the foam inside, they reinflate.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't have rich whoopee cushion items. Okay?
It's not rich. You can get them
mine-
at Dollar Tree.
Mine were from the dollar store. I had to blow them up.
Well, you
and
went to the bad
usually
dollar
they
store.
blew up from the side instead of out the little
No,
section
they
they're supposed to do.
they out the thing, but there's like a button on top that if you plug it with your butt when you sit down on it, it all pushes out the flapper thing.
Mine didn't do that, and it just had this. And it always like there was this part like, but it would always like break over here. And it-
Oh, well, yeah, you're
terrible. I didn't have rich man whoopee cushions.
you're bad at whoopee.
I'm bad at whooping. Sorry, whoopee cushion tangent.
Anyway, that's what's happening with me. Did you guys have anything else? What's been going on the last couple weeks?
Trying to think of anything that I've really had over the last few weeks that have been interesting or different or changed or anything, but not really. I think it's been pretty much the same
Yeah.
for the most part. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Got anything for you? No.
Not a whole lot.
All right.
I mean, so much of my week I've already shared with people. So, just having a good time at work. I've been having a good time at my house. Just been good.
Just good times.
Yeah, just good times.
All right. Well, we have, I know, some less good times, but we can remember some fond times
Yes, sir.
if we want to discuss some of that right now.
Yeah.
So recently, this past week, I forget exactly where I was, but I was talking with some friends, and someone sent me a message, and
We were playing Fortnite.
yeah, I think I was playing Fortnite, yeah, with some friends and stuff. And someone sent me a message, and it was about Akira Toriyama passing. And I was like, oh, man, this sucks.
Yeah.
And my buddy was like, wait, what'd you say? And I was like, Akira Toriyama passed. He's like, dude, I'm really sad right
Yeah.
now. Like, it's weird because, like, I was like, man, that sucks. But I don't have quite the nostalgic connection that I know a lot of people have over a lot of this man's work. And just bringing that up, and he was like, man, I watched Dragon Ball Z all the time when I was younger.
Sure. But I mean, as someone that, specifically you and Calvin, I would say, that kind of like discovered anime later in your life, like, is responsible for a lot of the good stuff that you've seen.
Yeah.
And when I say responsible, I mean in terms of inspiration and like setting genre-defining tropes.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
No. And I don't even know. I don't know like the scope of what all Toriyama did, but I know of like Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
And then I believe it was Rick who said that he was involved with Dragon Quest, the video game
Quest,
series.
Yep. Dr. Slump,
I don't even know what that is.
one of his series.
But I mean, just what I know of Dragon Ball and what I know of friends or family or like just being in high school. Like I remember so many people being like, "Oh, Dragon Ball Z." Like that was like, I feel like in like the world of high school nerd culture, right?
Yeah.
Where like I feel like when we were younger, it wasn't quite cool to like, like the nerdy things.
Yeah.
Right? Like Star Wars or comic books or any of that. I feel like Dragon Ball Z was one of those passes where it's like, dude, Dragon Ball Z is so cool.
Well, it was at least for me in my experience, because you would every once in a while, you'd be like, hey, I like Star Wars. Like, I'm not really into that. Or, I play Pokemon. It's like, that's lame, But at least for me, like a lot of people were like, you watch Dragon Ball? Okay, I watch Dragon Ball, but you kind of like, you like discover that everybody has kind of like experienced this thing.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like hey, this is really cool, let's go join the cool kids. It was, at least like I said, in my experience, it was like a lot of people almost feeling like they were discovering it by themselves and then just finding that in their friend group.
Gotcha.
But for me, it was just I never really watched much anime, and I was just exposed to it on Toonami, Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
And Dragon Ball was the one show of all of those shows that I could not miss an episode when it would come on television. So it was just ingrained into me. Like I had a time, tried to watch every episode because if you miss one, then you're not going to be able to see it again because we didn't have the internet.
Yeah,
I couldn't
right?
go and find the episodes that I missed.
That one's gone forever.
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully
I
I find it
had
on VHS later
Yep.
at some point.
I had a very specific dub. It was the Bruce Faulconer music.
Yeah.
And it was a defining fandom for me. Like there's a few fandoms where I'm just like, this one defined certain parts of my life, and Dragon Ball is one of them. And it is 100% responsible for my future interest in anime.
You think so?
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be for that one, you probably wouldn't have as much of an interest in
think so.
anime?
Yeah, I don't think so.
I was trying to see when Dragon Ball started.
In the 80s.
I know it was like when the article I saw for announcing his passing, I think said that like 45 years that he had been working on projects and various works.
Yeah.
I was like, geez. And he was only, I think it was like 61
I
or
know, he
something
was
like
young.
that.
Yeah. He was young. It's just it's crazy to me just the reach the property has, like that show had, because it's it's a Japanese cartoon. It's based off a Chinese fairy tale, but it also has elements of like Superman. It has elements of, if you're a fan of something, there's something like that in the Dragon Ball world, and it's so cross-cultural, the interest in it. Like, you can find people from every walk of life that can identify with Dragon Ball because, and this is one of the brilliant choices of Akira Toriyama, like, it doesn't take place, in the 1980s in Japan. It takes place in this timeless version of Earth that is just exaggerated and fantastical, and, there's a dog mayor, and if you go out in the woods, you might be attacked by a Tyrannosaurus Rex. And, Akira Toriyama just loves to draw, ships and bikes and vehicles, and it's just real crazy amalgamation of different things. And then you add into that, like, aliens and visitors from outer space and gods and demons, and what you get is you end up having a world and a setting and characters that so many different people can see themselves in.
Sure.
because there's no defining markers that's saying they can't be there. You know, like that this isn't for you.
No, I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
Like earlier today, we were kind of having a conversation talking about X-Men and talking about like the further we get from World War II, the harder it is to try to, I think, put for a modern day X-Men setting, having Magneto's origin,
Sure.
revolve around a moment from World War II.
Yeah.
Just because, like, well, now he'd be this old. Like, would he work as an antagonist being this old and whatnot? So,
Yeah.
I get you there because like that feels different the further away from it you get.
Yeah.
Unless you're trying to make sure it stays back in a certain time frame. Whereas this, it doesn't matter when you watch it. It's always just here's just what it is.
Yeah.
This world is sure it's Earth, but it's not our Earth. It's a different Earth, right?
It's a
And
magical Earth.
There's aliens and there's all kinds of stuff. So
My favorite part of it is Akira Toriyama's willingness to just change and recontextualize everything that he's done. Like at any one point, he can just be like, well, you know this guy that I've been calling the Demon King for the entire run? It's like, yeah. It's like, well, he's an alien. It's like, oh, okay. And then he just changes the story. And you're just like, I must accept this. And you're just constantly changing things. And it has this element of like, anything could happen.
Aaron, the manga started to be released in 1984. The anime was 1986. For
1984 for Dragon Ball is when the manga started, and 1990.
86 for the anime.
1986 for the
86
anime?
in the
Wow.
anime.
And then
Oh, yeah.
89 was DBZ.
Yep.
Huh. Okay. I guess that's true because Dragon Ball and then Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
And Dragon Ball Z is what I feel like a lot of people grew up on.
I mean, Dragon Ball Z is what, for me at least, was what was airing whenever I found it. I didn't even really understand that there was a Dragon Ball. I understood that there was stories that happened before the stories that I'm watching, but I bet you I picked up in the middle of the Saiyan saga. You know, I certainly didn't watch the first episode of Dragon Ball Z from on. I just discovered it in the middle of it and kept watching. Mm-hmm. And then eventually, VHS tapes started becoming a lot more prominent. You could try to go and get those, and
Sure.
just so many fond memories. Taught me how to power scale because it was like the easiest power scaling. Whose number is higher,
Yeah.
right? When you get your scouter and you see the person's power level. But then it taught me to not care about that too, in a very satisfying way. That eventually those numbers don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And it has like I said, I think it has hit me at the right age, but it has this thing like what a Saiyan can do. And a Saiyan pushes as hard as they can until they can't anymore. And then, but right before they give up and they can't go anymore, they push a little bit more, right? And when you do that, you might fail, or you might push past your limit. You might be able to go even further beyond. And that just always spoke to me as a kid.
Sure.
It's like, I think I can't do any more right now, but I haven't tried to go further. And Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, Piccolo, all these characters taught me, like,
They always go
They
further,
can
right?
go
They're
further,
always
you know?
trying to push it as far as they can.
yeah. It's magical stuff. And that was like that. I discovered it too, like, right when I started to become, like, out of childhood and into my teenage years,
Well, Hanzo294 said, as a big fan of both Naruto and Hunter x Hunter, I definitely see many influences from Dragon Ball in terms of Toriyama's influence on other manga and anime.
Yeah.
What notable influences stick out to you guys? So is there anything from other anime and manga that stick out as like Toriyama kind of started pushing?
Sure. I mean, nothing else comes close in terms of like visualization of summoning your energy than Dragon Ball does. Like the concept of the power up. Like I don't know what visual representations have happened before then, but after then, I always think of Dragon Ball first.
Sure.
I
feel like the
ability of, like we talked about, like that thing of pushing further than what your limit is can literally transform you.
Sure.
Just the intention of wanting to do that.
I feel like that's the idea with like My Hero, right? Like they have Plus Ultra,
Yeah.
and Plus Ultra really is that like go beyond, go
Yeah.
further than where you think you
don't
are, right?
really know what your limits are.
Yeah. And I feel like that kind of comes from that same idea of like what the Saiyans or these characters from Dragon Ball Z,
Yeah.
like they Goku always breaks the limit.
Yeah.
Whereas like that's kind of the idea here is like push further, push beyond. Plus Ultra is Ultra is there's no number there. It's just more. Plus more. Whatever the more is. So like I definitely see it there, I think.
Yeah, and you guys don't necessarily experience this, but those of us that have watched Dragon Ball and gone to Dragon Ball Z, your initial, protagonist is Goku, and you always are going to root for him. But Dragon Ball Z shifts its focus to Gohan, because Goku, by the nature of being a full-blooded Saiyan, he will never stop wanting to fight strong people, because that's the only way he can improve. The only way, like when he sees someone that's stronger than him, he's like, finally, a chance to break my limit, right? And, like as a kid, that's what I needed to like get into adulthood. But as an adult, it's like a parable. Like, don't push too hard. You might endanger the entire universe, Goku.
Mm-hmm.
But Gohan is the kid that now has all that potential and all that power, but he has a lot more forethought and a lot more fear and a lot more to think about than Goku's sometimes one-track mind. You know?
I don't know if this is completely related to the same idea, but I always felt like Mewtwo had X and Y Mega Evolutions,
Yeah.
and they always made me think of Frieza.
Frieza. Sure.
And I don't know if that's meant to be directly kind of correlated at all or anything to him, but they just made me think of that. And
Sure. Yeah.
I equate that to probably Dragon Ball Z. But also Dragon Ball Z has, like, whereas Pokemon has evolutions, and then they had, like, these Mega Evolutions where, like, you would be stronger, but then it would reduce back.
Yeah.
It feels like a Super Saiyan kind of moment, too, where it's like, I'm going to get stronger, but then I'll turn back to me.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool, too. But
Nothing will ever... I don't think anything will ever beat the hype of the first Super Saiyan transformation. Like, it's, now
Well,
we got crazy stuff. We got Blue and,
sure, well, it's
Ultra
also...
Instinct, but there's nothing more than Vegeta hyping it up in the Frieza fight for so long. And then you think, like, this is what I want, but the terrible cost it takes to get it with, Krillin being killed. And you want to think, like, this is the worst. And then the Super Saiyan transformation happens, and it just changes, everything that you're watching in that moment.
I think it's also like you don't get that. I think it's such a pop culture knowledge thing.
Yeah.
That like you don't really get to experience that for the first time anymore. You know.
And
what I mean?
again, like I had no internet. I had no information. I watched the opening, which was for me was Rock the Dragon. I watched it so many times, and it would keep showing this blonde character that beats the crap out of Frieza. I'm like, when does he show up? And I just kept waiting. It felt like the end of Harry Potter, Calvin, when Harry's waiting for his dad to show up because he saw his dad.
Yeah, yeah.
But then he realizes, wait, no, I'm my dad. And Goku is the blonde warrior.
Yeah.
Ah. Love that. And also, too, like, I know that I'm just kind of talking and gushing about Dragon Ball, but there's also, it has that great build-up, too, because you guys experience this as well. Like, he made this despicable villain in Frieza. He makes him so powerful. He makes him just relish in the suffering of others. And finally, it takes so much to beat him. And when he comes back to Earth and Goku's not here, and you just start to despair, and then again teaching you about power scaling, this young boy with a sword shows up, and you're just like, "Who's this?" And he just demolishes Frieza, and you're like, "What?" And then he goes, "You have no idea what's coming next." And then just that stepping of like constantly upping the ante, constantly having to break.
You're
the
aware
ceiling,
of how strong this character is, and like how much a danger they're gonna be. And then when you see that character get defeated quickly, you're like, well, what's this guy been doing?
And while that's a trope that happens in a lot of media, Dragon Ball was my foundation in it. Like that's what taught me how that works.
Sure.
And what to expect and what not to expect.
Like video games, you'll have that where it's like
Yeah.
you spend this time fighting and beating like a boss or something like that, and then like the boss still has the upper hand and you haven't defeated them, and then here comes some other boss and it kills that guy
Yeah.
with ease, and now you have to fight that guy, and you're like, but I had trouble with him. I was
Yeah.
losing to that guy.
Yeah.
Like there's just those kind of elements happen a lot now. I don't know if Dragon Ball Z started it, but it's definitely a power scaling thing is definitely something that Dragon Ball had.
Even if it
That
didn't
worked
start
well.
it, it's something that kind of delivered that trope to the masses in very surprising ways. We talked a little bit about it in the studio this week, but like Dragon Ball is huge everywhere. Not as, but and one of the biggest places that's huge in is Mexico. And in Mexico, like the cartel shut down in honor of Akira Toriyama for a couple of days. You know?
Yeah, it's
I
crazy.
mean, that's power.
I read that like whenever a new episode of Dragon Ball was coming out,
Yeah.
the cartel would like their activity would drop
Yeah.
so everyone could watch Dragon Ball,
Right?
and then it would come back after everyone watched Dragon Ball. But like for that day
Yeah.
that Dragon Ball came out, activity was down because everyone was watching and talking about Dragon Ball.
No, that really, like, it reminds me of like the story of the guy that stole Mr. Rogers' car. And then when he found out it was Mr. Rogers' car, he like brought it back and was like, I
Apologize.
didn't realize it was you.
I'm so sorry. I would have stolen someone else's car, but not your car.
Exactly.
No, that's the respect kind of aspect,
Yeah.
right? Where it's like, well, I have respect for this man. I don't know who this person
Yeah.
is.
I don't want to
was-
be remembered as the guy who stole Mr. Rogers' car.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, I personally, I never played Dragon Quest. You know, in terms of like some of his other stuff, I've read a little bit of Dr. Slump. Obviously Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, Super, GT, all that stuff. But I never got into Dragon Quest much. Have you ever played Dragon Quest?
Not really.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with little bits here and there. I know Rick's done it a lot more than I have.
Sure. Yeah.
But I think most of mine has been just related around Dragon Ball. That's why I was trying to look up what works he's done because I don't know what I've seen of him that I haven't or anything. So just getting a chance to like look at a list and be like, oh, I didn't realize he did this. Like you guys talking about like Dr. Slump, and I'm like, I don't even know what
Yeah.
that one is. But if there's something else that I'm like, oh, I didn't know he worked on this game or this, series. I've seen that or I'm familiar with it. Like it would just, I'm sure he did tons of work. I just don't know them all.
I got a message here. This is from Rick. Rick is just saying, sorry, I'm having an autistic meltdown right now. I wanted to be here because Akira Toriyama's work means so much to me, but I can't form the words right now. Thanks, but I must go hide in the dark. Smiley face. So we appreciate that, Rick. And again, because it was one of my favorite videos I've seen in a long time, check out one of Rick's videos on Roll with the Punches. I can't remember the exact. I gotta look up the title. But I loved what you had to say about Dragon Ball and the effects that it had on you growing up and continues to have. So I will find that and plug that.
But Calvin, besides anything with Dragon Ball, have you had anything else that you know of for like Akira Toriyama? I know, like, I think you're similar to me as far as like anime.
Yeah,
Like-
haven't really gotten into much of his other work other than just what you and I have seen from Abridged.
Sure, yeah.
But I mean, the character design is so iconic. Like you can see that it started a wave of like I think different design for anime characters and game characters and stuff like that. I mean, it was mentioned earlier that he worked on the Dragon Quest games. He designed the character models, but just the impact that his art and his stories have had. Like I knew basically what going Super Saiyan was long before I even watched a
Yeah.
single episode of any anime.
Yeah.
It's just it's so prevalent and pervasive in pop culture that it's
Dragon Ball was huge.
yeah.
I mean, it still is huge.
And
You
it's
know?
like the Einstein of anime.
Like it's one of those animes that's kind of like Pokemon. Like I feel like those are two animes that when like in our generation, like everybody knew, they at least knew what Dragon Ball and what Pokemon were. Like even if there's other animes and stuff that were out at the time, like I feel like it's kind of like Mario or something like that, where if you go and ask people like, "Hey, do you know what this is?" and they'd be like, "Yes, I know Dragon Ball."
Yeah.
Like,
Anyway, for that
For
video
Rick-
that I was talking about, how Dragon Ball Z helped my mental health is what it's called, and in it specifically, he talks about the concept of weighted clothing, and how if you can take that weighted clothing off, then yeah, you're going to be moving around a lot,
faster.
a lot faster.
It's
but
like
if
it's
you,
like the baseball bat with the
Yeah.
weight on it when you're swinging.
exactly.
Right?
But if you train with it on, you're actually making yourself stronger.
Yeah.
Whenever you do take that off.
Oh, I see nudity makes you stronger on
you
this
know.
planet.
Yeah, and Rick was, comparing that with his own mental struggles,
Yeah.
Sure.
And I really enjoyed that video. So if you got time, go check it out. It's about 15 minutes long. But anyway, it's a great franchise, and it's hard for me to because I don't know much about Akira Toriyama outside of his work in Dragon Ball, but obviously, he inspired a whole bunch of other people. There were some great messages that came out this last week from
Yeah,
other.
you were talking about those, but
Yeah.
I hadn't seen them.
You haven't seen those yet? Yeah, there was some. there were
Yeah,
some good
I read the
ones.
letters. They were very moving.
From the creators of One Piece, the creators of Naruto, pretty much anybody who has had success in being, creating one of these big franchises in anime, they have to owe their success to the work pioneered by Akira Toriyama. There was a message or a sign I saw posted in a bookstore this week that said on it, like it was on the manga shelf, and it said, without the work of Akira Toriyama, none of these manga on this shelf would be here. And it's not just would be inspired to be made, but literally that there's a manga section at all in an American bookstore. When I
Yeah.
was growing up, that was not the case. We didn't have that. We had to go and special order it,
Aaron and Calvin got work close to something that is common in the anime community. So Naruto, Bleach, and I'm blanking. One Piece
Piece.
are called the big three.
Yeah.
And people always talk about what about Dragon Ball? Dragon Ball is always considered the grandfather of anime.
Yeah.
It is the it is the reason anime is in the West right now.
Yeah.
Really.
And Pokemon's a grandma.
Like there was
I don't know.
there
if
was
that's true or not.
fantasy
But I think-
before Tolkien, but once Tolkien did his
Sure.
work, then fantasy changed forever. after,
Sure.
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
No, I-
Fantasy in before Tolkien was like fairy tales and
Yeah.
stuff. Nobody really took it seriously
Yeah.
as like a medium for storytelling.
No. I remember a lot of anime when I was younger.
Yeah.
But I remember hearing Dragon Ball and how excited friends were that Dragon
Yeah.
Ball was a thing. And then sometimes I remember going to a buddy's college dorm room, and we were just chilling talking, and he just had it was a Namek saga.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what the heck it was. And I was just I'll just sit here, talk with you while you just
Seriously, what the hell is Namek?
while you just watch this. And I'm just all right, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm that looks cool. I don't have a clue what's going on.
Yeah,
But it always looked cool. And I think that's one of the things, as far as especially as far as an artist, like the visual of everything, characters are real cool, Even Dragon Quest, I can pick out some artwork of Dragon Quest just because of the way the characters are drawn and stuff. And they're
Sure,
always
but
just very unique and
you're-
very
you're
cool. And also, I feel like they're fairly vibrant most of the time,
Yeah.
lots of enemies are dark and broody and whatnot, but he has a big old pink blob,
does.
there's not, it's not necessarily dark and brooding
Yeah.
and whatnot as far as enemies. They're also very vibrant and bright and stuff as well,
Well, it's because he has his roots as a gag anime or gag manga creator, like Dr. Slump and characters like that. It's and Dragon Ball itself, again, Dragon Ball Z kind of reinvented itself out of Dragon Ball.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also because, he was kind of a go with the flow kind of creator. There are plenty of things where it's hey, why didn't you ever pick this back up? He's like, oh yeah, I forgot. He would just kind of forget things, He would, we have a super chat right now from Khalib who said, Toriyama was so clever, the many antagonists in the Android saga were thanks to him listening to his editors. Without his work, I don't think I would have met my best friends. That's crazy. But talking about like the Android saga. Like, 2 androids will show up, and he did the 2 androids, and his editor's like, those are the 2 androids? That sucks. Do something different. So he just did.
He just did something different.
Yeah, he did something different, and then eventually he was just like, we're just gonna have a guy named Cell show up, And what a defining villain. Perfect
Yeah.
Cell.
Who also has a very unique look.
Yeah.
He's
very.
also not like a dark. He's very bright. He's
Yeah.
green and purple and stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Absolutely.
but I can also be like, there's Cell.
Oh yeah.
Like he just has a unique look about him.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of his characters did too, except for some Saiyans. A lot of Saiyans kind of look very similar.
Sure.
Well, yeah.
Well, I mean, Yamcha looks like a Saiyan.
Yeah, I suppose he does too.
So he just has a specific look, but he has a very singular style of how he draws. So sometimes people can end up looking the same.
Yeah,
But that's why they have such iconic hairstyles,
sure.
So they
I guess
can
so.
differentiate themselves that way. But yeah, I mean, DSR anime is correct. Like Cell's design inspired Miriam from Hunter x Hunter, like directly. In fact, because when I first watched Hunter x Hunter, I'm like, whoa, that's just Cell.
Yeah.
Obviously, way different direction with the Emperor, but yeah.
Yeah, I think we talked about that at the time.
And
I with what you were saying too about like meeting friends and stuff. It's kind of like when we talk about like Star Wars and stuff too. Like there's like that fandom aspect where it's like there's people I don't think I would know if not for Star Wars.
oh,
And then
yeah.
there's people that I don't think would know each other if it wasn't for Dragon Ball. Whether it was being able to like go to something to celebrate Dragon Ball or meeting them in school and talking about it and be like, you like Dragon Ball? Oh my God, what you think of this part? And like that's just something you wouldn't have if it wasn't for some of these.
I have such a clear
stories.
memory of being with a friend, and he wanted to go see one of his other friends, and we did, but then my first friend had to leave, and I was in Athens, stuck with someone I did not know, but I was there, and this guy walks by, bald head, goatee, sunglasses, old, kind of hunched over, with a walking stick, and I just in my head I go, that guy looks exactly like Master Roshi. And then that friend of a friend looked at me and goes, does that guy look like Master Roshi to you? And then we could talk for 4 hours.
About Dragon Ball,
About
right?
Dragon Ball now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, dude, who's your favorite character? What's your
Exactly.
favorite arc?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can just go on for who knows how long.
Yep.
No, it's amazing how much he was able to do and what all he was able to in just 45 years.
Absolutely.
And then the effect that it had on so many people, on a world,
Yeah.
And
That's
he
crazy.
wasn't done. I mean, he watches that terrible Dragon Ball Evolution movie, decides I cannot let this be my legacy, creates Dragon Ball Super.
Yeah, is
And
that
now-
why he made Super? Was
Yeah,
because of Evolution?
That is why.
Did he have anything to do with GT?
No.
Because I always hear you talk about
Yeah.
GT.
No. No, GT
that
was
was the
really
studio,
just
right?
studio spit
So there was
stuff, yeah.
GT and then Evolution. He's like, I gotta do something.
I'm not sure if there's like, I don't think he had any influence in GT. Like sometimes for certain projects he'll do like character designs, but someone else is doing the main writing and stuff like that. But I'm not sure if that was the case with GT at all. I mean, GT had some great stuff. Super Saiyan 4 design is one of the coolest designs for a Saiyan transformation. But it ain't canon anymore.
Huh. Interesting. All right. I started with the kids at one point watching some Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
I don't
Seems
know
like
if
he
I
did
should,
a couple designs for GT.
I don't know if I should watch more Dragon Ball or just go in and watch Dragon Ball Z because there's more story that I haven't gotten to see for Dragon Ball Z that I'm like, I'd like to get to that at some point.
I get you.
And then I always hear good things about Super. And I'm like, I should get so I can watch Super.
Hey,
Super sounds cool.
Dragon Ball.
Sure.
I think a lot of people go like, I like Dragon Ball Z, but I don't need Dragon Ball. And I think that's just you haven't watched it. You don't understand. Like Dragon Ball is different, yes, but it's way more martial art than it is these crazy superpower fights. Like you have to kind of, and it's worth it for that. Is what I would say. Like so.
I mean,
don't
it didn't
discount
seem like there were
Dragon Ball.
aliens, but there was like giant fish and pterodactyls.
Yeah.
And I was like, the hell is this stuff?
Sure. Yeah.
But it also made me think of we played what was it? It was a Dragon Ball Goku like game, and in that he had to like fish with his tail and get a big fish. And I was like, oh my gosh!
Yeah.
And seeing that for the first time, I was like, this is nuts.
Yeah.
Then I watched a little bit of Dragon Ball, and it happened in like one of the episodes, and I was like, oh, there's where it's from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just gotta dangle his little tail.
Khalib with a super chat on YouTube says, when the OG Dragon Ball anime was running and Krillin died, yes, he did die first in Dragon Ball. He died, he created Yajirobe so that Krillin's Japanese voice actor could voice him and still get paid.
Huh.
That was very considerate of him.
Yeah. No, that's great. It's great that that's like the reason he creates a character. And then years later, one of my favorite moments in all of Dragon Ball Z is like we're fighting Vegeta, there is no hope, and Yajirobe comes out of nowhere and cuts off his tail. You know? Everybody writes off Yajirobe, but he was instrumental in defeating Vegeta.
Yeah, I suppose that's going to be very important. So he made Yajirobe just because of Krillin?
Yeah, Krillin's voice actor still needed some work.
Even has the same eyebrows. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Did Yajirobe have a cat?
He doesn't have a cat. He lives with a high spirit cat
Okay, maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
named Korin. In
Okay.
the version that you've watched, they're married.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Okay.
There was something about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The cat has Yajirobe.
The cat
You're
has
right.
Yajirobe. Okay.
Yeah, no. Korin lives below Kami's lookout, and he's the one that grows senzu beans.
Sensu beans. Yes.
Yes.
Now I need to go back and watch because I haven't watched.
Yeah.
I haven't watched either Abridged or Dragon Ball Z in
mean,
a
that-
long time.
That's the main thing, too. Like, for you, Dragon Ball Z is what it is, but I don't imagine the first thing you think of is you collect 7 magic Dragon Balls and get to have a wish from a dragon. I imagine the first thing you think of is, like, really crazy fights.
Sure,
you know,
yeah. I
and
think of, like the
characters.
Super Saiyan fights
Yeah.
and the transformations. Like the balls were like
Yeah.
not really a big aspect
It
of
wasn't
it.
as
At least not in
important.
Dragon Ball Z. I don't know if
Yeah.
they are in Dragon Ball. If they're a
Dragon
bigger
Ball
aspect
is
there.
a lot more.
But in Dragon Ball Z, it's like, all right, well, we better go get some whenever Goku dies.
Yeah.
That was pretty
Sure.
much the.
Well, it's because, now they can fly at 1,000 miles an hour if they want to. But
Yeah.
back in the day, you need to go all over the earth to find these mystic orbs, bring them together, and then when you really think about it, you're summoning God to give you a wish. Because the dragon is just the essence of Kami. Kami being the guardian of the earth, and Kami being another word for, or the Japanese word for God.
Just looking to see where I can watch Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Z Kai, which it looks like.
Sure. Funimation,
Yeah.
Crunchyroll. I mean.
Crunchyroll, Hulu.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, whenever I had my foot infection and was feeling really bad this week, my wife actually prompted it. She's like, you should watch this to feel better. And I just started watching Dragon Ball from the beginning. Just been having
Yeah.
a good time with it.
Dragon Ball.
Dragon Ball, yep. Just to
Well,
cheer me
I
up.
wish I had more to say or more experiences
Sure.
that I went through with Dragon Ball
Oh,
or
yeah.
with Toriyama. Sadly, I don't, but I may look into more or
Yeah.
try to watch more with the kids and stuff too, because I know that they have some interest in it. I know Leon likes anime and whatnot.
Yeah.
I want Kanan to not just look at people and be like, "That's a guy from Fortnite." So,
Yeah, I understand.
but
Yeah.
you can do that with so many people nowadays, and not everything is something that like my 8-year-old or 9-year-old knows.
I know.
So
It's I don't think it's like it's not the most common thing in the world, especially like when it comes to art, that part of Dragon Ball, like the quest characters have, like many characters have the quest for immortality. They're going to use the Dragon Balls and wish to live forever. But Akira Toriyama put his art out there, and in that way, like, he is immortal. Like, his legacy will live. Like, as long as humanity keeps a record of what came before, there's going to be a part of that record that's going to talk about Akira Toriyama. You know,
Yeah.
it's nuts.
I did see one art with him going to the gates with
King
Damn.
Yemma.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of his
Yeah.
name. I could only
Yeah.
think of Mahogany,
Yeah.
but I couldn't think of what his name was.
Yep.
But I saw that and I was like, oh.
I love that too, because that piece of art's especially good because in the lore of Dragon Ball, only the people who have given their life and sacrificed so much in their life for just the good and betterment of others are allowed to keep their bodies in the afterlife. If not, you just kind of appear as like a little puff of smoke, right?
Yeah.
And that's your soul, and it gets judged and it gets to go to rest. But those that have done great work get to continue that work in the afterlife. And in that, obviously, Akira was allowed to keep his body.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. That's really cool that they did it that way then. And put it into his world.
Yeah. No, I could talk about it all day if I wanted to, and I do. We do have one of our members, Rick, who hasn't seen Dragon Ball Z Abridged, and it is kind of like the connecting thing for a lot of us. So
Yeah.
we're hoping to one day take him through that.
Oh.
And
Yeah. It's
We'll
been
have to
so
do it.
funny to have like there's little talks here and there, and there'll be something that's mentioned, and he'll
Little
be like,
references and
"What?"
stuff.
And I'm like, this from Dragon Ball Z. He goes, "What are you
That's not
talking
in Dragon
about?"
Ball Z.
And I'm like, and Eric just looks at us. He goes, "They're both right."
they're both right. Yeah. I love Abridged. I mean, that's for me. It's what kind of kept my fandom alive after the show, and I had kind of grown out of it because Abridged was able to kind of like capture a version of the show that I kind of always thought it was like, joking around with my friends,
Yeah.
but being able to share that with others, and then they just cut their teeth in that material for years and years and years until it became just deadly good. You
Yeah.
know,
It used to be Vata.
yeah, but to the
Yeah.
point where they just like
love
are
it.
adapting the show and legitimately just making a good version of the show.
Yeah. No.
Gohan's
and-
transformation at the end of that show is one of the best versions of that character, and I love that character in a way that I think a lot of people kind of discount Gohan. I love him for that,
Sure.
but they really hit the nail on the head with that.
No. And I think that's also just because of the work that Toriyama put into it, and then how people felt about those
Yeah,
characters.
absolutely.
And those guys who loved it so much that wanted to play around but also honor it at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
It's great.
yeah, that show doesn't get made without just love and love and love and love for the property, but
Yeah.
they're
and
also
and an
don't, they don't
understanding of
like
it,
treat
too.
just like Akira Toriyama. They don't treat it so seriously they can't have fun with it.
Sure.
Like he will just forget stuff or just create ridiculous things. Like one of my favorite episodes of Dragon Ball Super is when one of his gag characters from a manga, Dr. Slump, appears in Dragon Ball Super. Her name is Ariel, I think. She's this little robotic girl. And because she's from a gag comic, she's just, if you try to power scale her on Dragon Ball, it's not going to work. It's like when you put Saitama next to any other person.
Sure.
Well, his gag is that he can beat you in one hit, which supersedes all other power scaling. Ariel can supersede, so Vegeta fights Ariel in that comic, and she beats him. And he's like, I hate Magna characters.
That is funny.
And I just
Okay.
love that Akira Toriyama can just do that with that type of thing. I'm
It's
not sure if
such-
I'm saying her name
It's
right.
such a little girl.
Raleigh, maybe?
I've never seen her before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Arale.
She is
Yeah.
the inspiration of the proportion of Mario.
Proportion and moveset.
Like
I
proportions
think,
and
too.
moveset. Yeah.
Like the way he runs and everything with his head
Mhm.
behind his heels. I think it's very, very inspired by her.
yeah.
Hmm. All right. Well, I don't have anything else for Toriyama except for I will work on watching more of his works and
Yeah.
getting to know him. Perhaps too late, but being able to enjoy the stuff that he's
Sure.
done and what he's done with his life.
Yeah.
I think I've already seen some stuff, and I've loved the stuff I've seen. So I just need to check out some more of it.
It's just, it's not like he was done. I mean, Dragon Ball, Daima? Is that what it's called? Daima? Yeah.
Oh, was there another
That was the new series that he's going to be coming out with.
Mm.
I watched a trailer for it that I reacted to, and like there is, he has is apprentice the right word? Like he has a guy that
Like a
does,
protege?
Yeah, that does most of the heavy lifting now, and obviously I think that guy will inherit the Dragon Ball legacy. I'm sorry, I can't remember his name right now. It starts with a T too, but Toyotaro, yeah, that's right. So he will be, he's gonna be like the Dave Filoni, of Lucas, I think. And while I haven't read a lot of the unadapted material that Toyotaro made with the input of Toriyama, I look forward to it being adapted because from the stuff that I've seen, it's really good.
Really?
Yeah.
For Daima?
Well, I don't know when that stuff will be adapted yet.
Gotcha.
I'm pretty sure it's like extra Dragon Ball Super stuff.
Okay.
So I'm not really sure if we see that, when we'll see it.
As far as Daima, I was looking to see if it's still like set or planned to come out.
Yeah,
they just
I'm
have
sure.
fall of this year right now, so
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still set to come out this fall.
I don't know if his passing would affect anything with it, or how involved he was with it specifically, or if it's like he was working on the manga and then this was coming through this way or anything. Because I don't know if I assume was he still doing manga for Dragon Ball, like for Dragon Ball Super and that kind of stuff.
Well,
And
I mean,
then-
he was involved. He wasn't, like I said, doing like all of the work, but
Sure.
he was doing a lot of character stuff. He would editorialize. Someone even here was saying that Toriyama used to redraw a lot of Dragon Ball Z manga because he didn't like the way Toyotaro did it. Just redraw all your stuff. But it was not obviously worth hearing about this man's passing, but just the outpouring of love from so many unexpected people over the last week has been really emotional for me. Again, people from all walks of life enjoy that art, and it made such a huge splash throughout the world at a time where I really needed it.
yeah.
And it seems like that has affected people ever since then and before.
No, and like if the feeling people have with this is like what I feel with Star Wars, then
Yeah.
I feel for them, and I thank Toriyama for the work he did and the people he brought together because of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Now I just need Netflix to get a hold of me so we can get the Dragon Ball adaptation off the ground. Like, I got ideas.
yeah,
Yep.
are you gonna put Marsters in it?
I'll do legacy casting like the Flash did sometimes.
Gotcha.
Like, I'll find a spot for you.
Okay,
But I'm going a different direction with Piccolo.
different direction. Now I wouldn't make him Piccolo, but yeah, I'd like bring him in. Like, let me let you be a good character.
Yeah.
Something cool that works. All right. Well,
If you guys got any questions or anything like that, whether it has to do with Toriyama, Dragon Ball, or whatever you want to talk about. And yeah, if you're here and you weren't here in the very beginning, our friends the Normies did get hacked. They do have an avenue in which they are able to get everything that they lost back, but it's going to take a little bit of time. So, in true Dragon Ball fashion, we want to make sure we're extending our arms and giving them some energy for their spirit bomb that they need to combat hackers today.
yeah. We can move into questions. There is one from Boba Skywalker,
Oh, Boba.
who is asking if we got a new camera or lighting. I really noticed a difference in Bad Batch.
We got new lighting in that we have just kind of lights pointed at the backs of our head. Just gives us a little extra separation between the foreground and the background of our shots.
We changed some of our our front-facing lighting as well.
Yeah, we've been trying to find the happy medium of being able to light ourselves enough so that you can still see us, but it's not so bright that it's going to bother Rick whenever he's reacting at the table, because bright lights can really mess with his input stimulus. And that's, one of the reasons that he's been wearing the red glasses, like a lot of people have been seeing and asking about. But in order to try to make the most comfortable environment possible, we had to do a lot of experimenting. And I think that we've found a pretty good compromise for it. But what it does is it kind of flattened out a lot of our shot, like the feeling that the lighting gives. So we, putting that light back there just helps to unflatten that out a little bit, But appreciate you noticing.
Yes, thank you, Boba.
Yeah, Boba.
All right. SSG Jorge had resubscribed on Twitch for 14 months. They said something that hit me pretty hard this week was that the next chapter of Dragon Ball Super is called Inheritance to the Future. Wow. And based on the timing, it would have been done before his passing.
Wow. Yeah. Now there's, like I said, stuff will keep coming out that he's had his hands in for a very long time. In a fantasy world like that, who knows if it'll ever end?
Sure, yeah.
There could be new stories of Goku and his friends far after we're gone.
Yeah.
Let alone Akira Toriyama.
And
one day, hopefully one day, if there is an adaptation, someone does it right.
Does it? Yeah, an adaptation. It always seems to be the tricky thing of trying to get an adaptation, but also like honoring the what it's adapting from. Yeah. Where lots of times it changes too much, and
it's the honoring that you're talking about.
It feels like they try to make it too accessible.
Maybe I think sometimes it feels like they were just trying. Like sometimes I feel like things are so different that it's just like, well, we use the name, but this isn't really that at all.
Yeah.
Like one example that I have, and luckily it changed, was that the original idea for the Uncharted movie involved like Mark Wahlberg as Nathan Drake and like a family with him. And it just felt like a very different thing than what we would have had from the Tom Holland one that we had. Though Mark Wahlberg was still involved, it just sounded like almost like a pirate family just going out and doing treasure hunting and stuff. And I'm like, I feel like it would be a different movie, not Uncharted Nathan Drake feels. It feels like you're just trying to take from this and hopefully help this. Yeah. Like, what was it, Doki Doki Panic? Where they were just like, just put Mario on there. Sell that because it's going to be easier and this stuff's too hard for the Americans.
Sure.
It's just like, well, let's just turn this into a Mario game. So I think that happens sometimes. Other times I don't think it is. I think they were trying to, and then it got away from them maybe.
Sure.
It's just some of it's hard to change from like, here's an animation to here's live action.
I mean, like the One Piece Netflix show has done it better than anything I've personally seen in terms of adaptating, because they're not afraid of what makes the show quirky. They're not afraid of what gives the show identity.
That's good.
I feel like a lot of adaptations try to go like, we'll take the bullet points, but we're going to drop all this weird stuff. It's like, dude, the weird stuff is why people are there. That's why they, like you need to keep the weird. That's why people embrace those type of things. Like if you're going to do a Dragon Ball adaptation, you need to nail the things that when people first watched the original, like, what was the spotlight on? Spotlight is on amazing fights that you've never seen before. And you might say, well, that's difficult to do in live action. It's like, yes, but it's not impossible, and it should be your main focus. You should be able to show people fighting in a way they've never seen it before. That's what you got to do. And if you can't, you should not try.
Sure. Hold off and wait, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do it later.
I mean, you need to create a quirky world. You need to create these larger-than-life characters that people can get behind and root for and are embarrassed by. That's what's fun about it.
Yeah. No, sometimes it's just a matter of like, maybe it's not the time for this. Let's wait for technology to catch up a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then we can do whatever it is we need to do. Toon Rami had a question that said, "What is your favorite Dragon Ball game that you've played?" Mine are Budokai 3 and Dokkan Battle.
Yeah.
I haven't played too many. I did like the Goku like RPG or whatever that was.
Kakarot.
Yeah, Kakarot.
Yeah.
I thought that was really
That was
cool.
fun.
And I think
That
we
was fun.
played a little bit of I don't know if it's called Fighters or if it's Fighter Z.
Dragon
Yeah.
Ball Fighters.
But
Yeah.
we played a little bit of that, and that was kind of cool
That's
too.
awesome.
But I haven't done a whole lot. Like Dragon Ball fighting games can get pretty nuts.
Oh yeah. Oh. So for me, this is a difficult question, but I'm going to go back to Dragon Ball Z Hyper Dimension. I don't know if anybody remembers that, but I had that. And now hear me out. I had it on the Super Famicom because it didn't come out for the the Super Nintendo.
Okay.
But you could buy a Famicom, remove a peg from your Super Nintendo, and it would play. And that was the only way. It was before emulators for me. That was the only way you could play it. And I remember going to a friend's house, and he had the Famicom thing, but he had a Sega Genesis. I had a Super Nintendo, so I brought my Super Nintendo down. We removed this peg that would stop Famicom games from going into the cartridge, and we played that game for weeks and weeks and weeks. And it was my first like Dragon Ball fighting game.
That's cool.
So, I don't know if anybody remembers that one, but Hyper Dimension. It had like some amazing pixel art. And then after that, I personally would put the Game Boy Advance game Legacy of Goku up there as well. I put a lot of hours into that game, and I really, really enjoyed that one. Legacy of Goku 2, also really good.
Save Goku 2. SSG Jorge says, "What are your guys' favorite characters from the Dragon Ball franchise?" For me, it's got to be King Piccolo
Yeah.
and Zamasu.
Zamasu, yeah.
Zamasu. I mean, mine I feel like are always weird because I have a Dragon Ball Z abridged connection that not everyone always has to.
Sure.
So like
But
whenever I
that's
say
still fair,
like,
though.
man, I love Popo.
Uh-huh.
People are like, Mr. Popo, why? Like he's barely in it. I'm like, what do you mean he's barely in it? What? They don't use him that much, man. I love Mr. Popo. He's so fun.
Yeah.
He's like scary and cool
Yeah.
and
He's like a good guy who might not be so good, but you're glad he's on your side.
yeah, sure.
I like...
Let's see.
It's a very difficult question for me. I can give a bunch of answers. Like, one of my answers is legitimate. Like, I love Master Roshi.
okay.
I mean, yes, he is the prototype pervy master, pervy sage, if you will, right? But it's all these context clues that I love about him. Like, he lives on a secluded island in the middle of the ocean with, he's a perv, yes, and he has all his pervy magazines, but he isolates himself from society to not become a problem. He recognizes that about himself and isolates. Like, I've always loved that about Master Roshi.
Trying to think of what characters I like that are. 'Cause I don't have a lot from Dragon Ball,
Yeah.
so it's all from Dragon Ball Z.
I mean, every character that Goku would one day fight and then befriend has always been, Tien, Piccolo, Vegeta. Those characters are always special.
I liked. Which one was it? Was it Android 13?
Trucker Hat?
Which one's the one that loves birds?
Android
17?
16.
16.
Yeah.
I liked him a lot
17,
too.
18 were the-
Even
Yeah.
though I can't remember which number he was, but I can picture him.
Yeah, he's 16.
Yes.
Yeah, you got it. And, I mean, he was a fan favorite without a bridge, but honestly, a bridge made him better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always thought like you can I definitely like Goku's great, Gohan's great, Trunks is good, like a lot of those characters I like too, but like looking at like the outside of the main circle of characters, like trying to find those ones that are really good. Like I definitely like Piccolo's great too, but Piccolo's I feel like they're a good bit.
Yeah, sure.
But like you don't get Android 16 that much. A little bit during that arc, I guess, but
Yeah.
But he's
Yeah.
just a fun character in there too.
Really is.
I love Trunks. He's the young scared boy from the future.
Mm-hmm.
That is when he shows up, he's the most confident person you've ever seen, but he's the most doubtful. And even once he realizes that, doing this will not change my timeline, it'll change another timeline, but not mine. He still goes back to help his friends.
Yeah.
You know, Trunks is always a special one for me.
This has been some years ago now. I think I don't even know if we'd seen Dragon Ball Z for Blind Wave yet. I don't remember. It's been a while.
Okay.
And there was a friend of mine, and we were at like a party or a gathering, and there was drinking, and this one friend of mine had his phone. Either he gave it to me or he left it around, and for whatever reason, I was able to get into it. So what I decided to do was to go into his contacts and find names of people that I knew, that him and I both knew, and I just changed their names to Dragon Ball Z characters. So like I made his name Goku, and then I made his wife's name, what would it be? Chi-Chi?
Chi-Chi.
Right?
Yep.
I did that. I added in like Piccolo. I added in like Krillin. I added in like all these different characters. And some of them might open up and be like, all right, who's this guy?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about Dragon Ball Z, trying to go through and do it. So he had to like figure out who these people were, because who remembers phone numbers anymore?
No,
You know?
Yeah.
Like that's not a thing most people would do. So like there was someone, he's like, hey, who is this? It's like, what do you mean, who is this? And it's like, all right, well, a buddy of mine got on my phone, changed names around, and I'm trying to figure out who everyone is. He's like, what do you change names to? He's like, Dragon Ball Z characters. What's my name? Piccolo. Yeah, leave it.
I would be happy too.
And he just didn't change. He
Hell
didn't tell
yeah.
me who it was for a little bit. It was funny.
That's great.
So, but yeah, it was just fun thinking about that. It just triggered in my mind. I forget what it was that you just said, and I remember that moment, and
Gotcha.
it was fun.
That's really funny. Leave it.
Leave it. Calvin, did you say about favorite characters? Did you have any favorite characters?
Yeah, I don't know if it's fair to name my favorite characters from Abridged because
It's fair.
they feel like they're so different from the original. But
Look, man, like even though yes, you do kind of feel like you're coming at it from the side. Like so am I. I didn't watch the original
Sure.
sub. I watched the dub.
Oh yeah.
For me, Goku is this confident hero, but for a lot of Japanese fans, he's your hero and he's confident, but he's also a hillbilly because he
yeah.
has a very rural accent. And if Goku talked like this, like a lot of good, nightmare to you, that would be weird for a lot of people. But technically, if that was a true adaptation, that's how he should speak.
I didn't like it. It was grape flavored.
Kamehameha. But that's not how I think of it. So just like you, Calvin, I also have a warped view of the way the art comes at me.
No, I really like Krillin. I like
Yeah.
Mr. Popo. I like Piccolo.
Dang it. Who's Kame? Who's Nail?
That's Guru.
Guru.
Yeah.
Super Kami Guru.
Super Kame
Kame
Guru.
Guru.
Okay. I was like, Kame? It sounds like Kame. What was it?
Ew.
Nail.
Take their coats. Ew.
See, that's the wild part. It's like I've never heard
Don't
someone say
take their
Kami being
coats.
one of their favorite characters, but for a bridge, makes complete
Yeah,
sense.
he was so fun. Like,
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
the thing. Like, so all those characters, especially in the abridged side of things that I have, like,
Yeah.
I want to watch Dragon Ball Z to see what my thoughts are of those characters normally, and be like, man, I like this character in here. This character is like maybe less memorable, right? Like the Mr. Popo thing. I feel like Mr. Popo stands out in my mind when I think about Dragon Ball Z. Whereas like when I talk to other people, I feel like they like, why him? It's like I didn't even think about him when I was thinking about my favorite character.
Yeah.
He didn't
Nappa.
even cross my mind.
Oh,
I
Nappa.
love Nappa.
Yeah.
Nappa's
Nappa's so
great.
awesome. Someone asked in chat who I made myself in that guy's phone. I believe I made it Vegeta because I made Melanie Bulma.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I was like, I didn't know a lot of couples in the Dragon Ball Z world, and I was like, well, I know these, so I'll make these people this, and then I'll just name other people whatever. But
I have very fond memories of the episodes with Nappa, not just Dragon Ball Z Abridged because they changed his character for the better, but that's the first time I ever felt like, oh my God, Goku is so strong
yeah,
because he's not there for most of that fight, and Nappa fights
Everybody,
everyone,
right?
and everyone is beaten and gone and dead practically.
that's that power
And
scaling
Goku
kind
comes
of thing,
in
right?
and beats him in like one hit. And I remember like, what? it changed everything.
That's the power scale that they
That's
had,
the power
you know?
scale.
And that's also after like, no, Kakarot, Vegeta, the brother. Dang it, what's his name?
Raditz.
Raditz,
Raditz,
that's
yeah.
it. That's after Raditz came and he fought him and Goku struggled there, right?
Goku has to fight him for 5 minutes while Piccolo charges his special
up
beam
his
cannon.
his special beam
and
cannon.
then he dies.
Yeah, but it's like, but also like he did have him for a second
Yeah.
with his tail,
He did.
and he said, "Pretty please."
I mean, well, that's Goku's fatal flaw, right? Like, he wants to fight strong guys, but he doesn't want to kill you because when you come back, you'll be stronger.
But that's one of the,
He'll let you live to the detriment of others.
Yeah.
You know,
it's just
some people don't deserve it.
one of those good things as far as power scaling, where you see Raditz come in and like, well, Goku didn't just destroy him.
Yeah.
It was a struggle, and then you see Nappa and Vegeta show up, and Nappa just takes out everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, what's Goku gonna do? And he just takes out him real quick.
Absolutely.
And now you're left with Vegeta, and you're like, how strong's Vegeta gonna be? And it just keeps that ante going up, and it's really good. It keeps you interested, being like, can he beat him? Well, he must be able to beat him, right? Well, I don't know. He already died. You know, like, Claire Runja says, will you be playing Sparkling Zero, the new Dragon Ball Z game, when it comes out? I sent this before, but didn't click on question and did highlight. Oh, it's all good, Claire. Thank you so much.
I mean, there's a
I
lot
don't
of
know this
Dragon Ball
game.
games. I try to get to as many as I can, but Sparkling Zero.
I've heard it. I feel like
I didn't play the asymmetric game they released, which was like, Cell is defeating a city, run from him or whatever. I'm not sure what that was called.
Oh, yeah.
But this
I
is like
forgot
the
about
new
that.
Budokai Tenkaichi series, right? So yeah, I'll be playing this one.
Dragon
Breakers.
Ball
Breakers.
The Breakers.
That's what it was called. I didn't play that one.
It's out, right?
I believe so.
October 14th, 2022.
damn.
Save 50% on Steam. I forgot about this. That sounds so cool to be like what, just normal people trying to escape
Yeah.
some guy who's super strong
Yeah, I
flying through the
didn't
air?
play it not because I didn't think it was interesting. I don't get onto a bunch of video games sometimes, so I would like to.
A team of 7 ordinary citizens tries to survive the Raider, a classic Dragon Ball rival such as Cell, Frieza, and Boo, who will hunt and evolve into an unstoppable force.
Interesting.
We should play that.
That would be fun.
It's only $10 right now.
Yeah.
50% off. Wow. Wow.
Wow.
All right. I haven't played a lot of Dragon Ball games, so
Yes, some really
my
good ones.
my library of like Dragon Ball knowledge
Yeah.
from that aspect is pretty low. All right. Sea Lord says, "Can you guys speak on the first appearance of Vegeta? For me, it's similar to when I first saw Darth Vader. Like, holy hell, who is this?"
Yeah.
The
I mean,
first time I remember seeing him was with the Bugs, right?
Sure, yeah. Which, in the manga, Vegeta had only ever been shown without coloring. So when they went to do the adaptation, they still hadn't seen the coloring. That's why the first time you see him, he has like red hair. His Saiyan armor's color is weird. And I always assume like he's on a weird planet and it's got a weird atmosphere, so the colors are off or
Sure.
something. But that never happens anywhere else in any other scene in the entire show.
It's just there during that scene.
Yeah. So he looks a little different the first time you see him. But I will, yeah, I mean, the Saiyans coming is such a huge, like, oh no, we need to get ready for this in the show, that when they do arrive, and one is this gigantic, intimidating dude who is subservient to this small little guy, and you're going, well, why? Well, the small little guy, he's the powerhouse. And all of our guys, like, we haven't even gotten to him.
Yeah.
The big guy killed
They
everybody.
can't even beat this guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When Goku comes in, just breaks Nappa's back and throws him to the side. It's nuts.
Though
and
some-
then Vegeta kills him. Kills Nappa.
There are some times where you have like it's like he's just a rich little guy who
Yeah.
hired a big old bossy man,
Sure.
right? Where it's like, well, that guy's tough to fight.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I guess it's kind of like not to say he's not great, but Alan Rickman in Die Hard
Sure.
I don't think can fight as hard as that one German blonde guy who was mad
One-
that his brother was dead.
one of the brothers,
You
yeah.
know? Like, that
Yeah.
guy was a much tougher fight. It's just, Alan Rickman, Hans, right?
Hans
he was
Gruber,
just,
yeah.
he's just smart and plays it well, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's just,
And you got to remember too, like if you're watching from Dragon Ball, like the beginning, you're seeing every once in a while Goku when he transforms into his Azuru form, like he's this out of control giant ape. But in the Vegeta fight, Vegeta transforms, and you expect that, but he can speak. He still has sentience. It's terrifying. Not only is this thing now super powerful, but it's in control, and that's even worse.
yeah.
Yeah, that was Vegeta's one of the best villains. He's also one of the best heroes, but he's one of the best villains of the show as well.
Sure. He definitely, I think, I'm trying to remember how many characters stand out as some of my first memories of, like, this is an anti-hero character, right? Like, there's definitely comic books that have a lot of that kind of stuff. Like,
Yeah.
Venom is one for me, but he doesn't start. He starts as an enemy.
Yeah.
And then Vegeta, like, he's up there for me, too, as, like, one of the best, like, anti-hero type of characters.
Yeah.
Where it's like, he was the bad guy, but then you befriend him, and he's not. And now he's just living with you.
Yeah.
He's living on Earth with everyone
Right.
else.
Yeah.
You know? But no, Vegeta was great. I don't know what my first thought of him was whenever I first watched, because
Sure.
I watched the Dragon Ball Z abridged a while before Blind Wave, just on my own. Because I remember whenever you guys started with Calvin, it was, I don't know, probably 20 episodes or at least. I don't remember before I ever joined in. Because that's, like, I watched up to where they were at the time. And I didn't realize they were still just doing more.
Yeah.
And I didn't keep up with it and follow it and stuff. And I was like, this is pretty funny. I like this.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think it might have been something too where it's like it sparked an interest in that I don't think I would have maybe had, because my first few times of watching Dragon Ball Z at all, like there's definitely we need to fill the slot, so let's extend out a few moments here. That's why they did Kai, right? He's like, well, let's just shorten this back down. We don't need all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I think some of that stuff, I'm like, I guess it's okay. There's a lot of yelling,
Yeah.
I remember like being younger, like that's what my thought
Sure.
process was. And I think Dragon Ball Z Abridged, I was like, this is pretty cool. I want to watch more of this. And I started watching some of it on whatever station, like Hulu or whatever it was. They had like a free thing. But then I started watching like Dragon Ball. So I was like, I want to go back and watch some of these. So
Sure.
I've gotten through some of that, but I need to get through more.
I love a lot of versions of it, but and Kai is great. I just personally, it's not Dragon Ball Z without Bruce Faulconer's music, so I have to watch the American broadcast version.
So I don't have that connection. So maybe watching Kai will work well for me.
And it's nuts too, because I know a lot of people feel that way, to the point where there are entire, like, I'll watch the Japanese version of Dragon Ball Super or the dub, but it keeps the same music, But I gotta go watch the version that has the Bruce Faulconer score in there. There's an entire version of Battle of the Gods that somebody just redid the entire movie with that music, and it was 10 times better for me.
Sure. It hit that
Like, no joke.
It hit the nostalgia button that you had for the music and everything from when you were younger, right?
Yeah, I love Kai's dubbing, the voice work. It's just I need to have that that comforting blanket of Bruce Faulconer, even though I know there's a lot of problematic stuff when it came to, like, did he lift this from somewhere else or something like that, but it does not matter to me. Like, I cannot watch the Super Saiyan 3 transformation without that song, and I never will.
Just that Jake guy said favorite villain.
That's a stupid
Ooh.
question. Ban.
All right, rejected.
Oh, man. So many. I love Dr. Gero. I love Cell. Vegeta.
Cell
is
was really
great.
fun.
Yeah.
And so was Android 16. That's a villain, right?
I feel like Vegeta never stops being a villain, really. And it's
Yeah,
it's that
since
part of
when?
his it's that part of his like anti-hero kind of feel.
It's not that, I mean,
But like
I will tell you, one, you got to watch Dragon Ball Super.
yeah.
But two, like, you are right. It's not necessarily that he like
It's
did a
not
heel
really
he
the-
didn't do a turn.
Yeah.
He just kind of dropped the things that were problematic.
Yeah,
Because his new goal is
to be
surpass-
stronger than Goku.
Exactly.
And just staying on Earth and training is what serves that goal.
Well, because I mean, literally, in chasing Goku, he went the way of Goku,
yeah,
right? Like Goku changed him by having this man chase his power.
He also doesn't really have anywhere to go, right?
No,
well,
Because like
yeah.
Planet Vegeta was destroyed.
Goku
wasn't
and
it?
Vegeta are the well, and Broly, but yeah, they're the last full-blooded Saiyans
Yeah.
alive.
So like, I think there's also part of that where it's like, well, at this point now, where else does he go?
Yeah,
Might as well stay here.
Sure.
There's nowhere for me anywhere else.
but I also I really like Babidi as a villain.
I want to say Boo, but I don't know Boo
You don't know
enough.
Boo much, yeah.
But the things I've heard about them and the little bits we saw with the Boo bits and stuff like
Sure.
that too, I'm like, what is this? I feel like I'd love it, but
Yeah.
I don't know enough about it to be like that one. I think we did watch. I don't remember because I haven't seen it in a long time. But there was a Kirby versus like Majin Buu.
Majin Buu. It's been a long
And
time.
I remember watching some of that, but whenever we watch Boo Bits, I'm like, wait, he did what with cookies? You know, or whatever it was. Like, he what? So,
Well, I mean, yeah, just Majin Buu is this he's meant to be this magical incarnation of evil, but a long time ago he absorbed the kindest, most high of the Kais, which turned him into this happy-go-lucky, child. That's still evil, sure, but it is also good in there too.
Yeah. So there's
yeah,
balance.
Fat Boo is a very interesting, unique character, especially. But if I have to pick one, I mean, he's gotten a lot more since his original saga. But I mean, Frieza is such an iconic villain. Like Goku versus Frieza on Namek will forever be my hey, Dragon Ball Z. And that's my first thought.
does Piccolo count?
Yeah, big time.
Because, I mean, as far as what I know about him, I really like him too.
Yeah.
I think he's a really good character, and I love that.
You definitely know him from his like the very beginning of Dragon Ball Z. He's like, I'll take over the world. Oh, okay. These guys are gonna take over the world, and I need help.
Yeah,
And then he never stopped needing help.
yeah. But then he took Gohan under his
Gohan,
wing to help
yeah.
train him and stuff too, and there's elements like that I really liked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he's a good villain. I don't know if he's my favorite.
sure.
Mr. Popo. Does he count as a villain?
Sure, I'll allow it.
Yeah. I suppose.
I can't tell you
The
what your
dirt.
favorite is.
The worms inside the dirt. Mr. Popo.
And I also, Goku Black and Zamasu in Dragon Ball Super, I enjoyed them too. For
I only
many
know one
reasons.
scene about Goku
I know.
Black. It's so
I know.
funny. I don't know what they think.
I know.
I don't know
Yeah.
why.
One of my favorite scenes in Dragon Ball Super, I'm sure I've told you guys before, but Goku Black is this character that, let's just say, you know what? You guys ever going to react to Dragon Ball Super?
I don't know. So there is a question here that was sent in by SSG Jorge, who said, today's conversation has just proven that the crew should go through Dragon Ball, Kai, and Super.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
I mean, yeah. Well, hey, would you like to talk every week about one of your favorite things ever? Yes. It would just take a long time.
How many? We've gone over.
How many combined episodes
yeah,
is
that's
there?
what
And I have
wondering,
so many
too.
things I haven't seen.
'Cause
How
we've
many
watched,
combined episodes throughout the entire thing?
Yeah, Dragon Ball has
It's just that,
153,
yeah.
and then Dragon Ball Z has 291,
Dragon Ball Super is like 130.
and Super has 131.
Yeah,
So add those up.
a lot.
131,
And I mean,
291.
here's the thing: the vast majority of it you already know. Yes, there's differences, and it's not the exact version you guys watched. But once we got into Dragon Ball Z, I don't think you're gonna be like, I have no idea what happens next. You're gonna know exactly what happens next.
Sure. But we could we pick up Kai from where Abridged end?
Yeah,
Like that would be fun to
Could.
do. I wouldn't mind that. It would be new. The weirdest thing is that my voice for Goku is not anybody's voice for
No.
Goku.
it's
not.
really not.
You know?
Yeah.
Me too.
So
Like
that
that would take some getting used to.
that'd be the thing to change.
I
'cause,
think that Sean will win you over quickly.
I would love to have him win me over. Yeah.
Although
Yeah.
to be fair, it has been a long time since I've seen Abridged, so it might not be as bad as. But there's just some iconic lines that are stuck in my head, like "muffin button."
I
You
know.
Like I will never forget that.
Muffin button?
Yeah.
Dude, you gotta listen to Sean Shamel say, "Nah, I will not let you destroy my world" in the Battle of the Gods. And what I just said is lame, but when he says it, it's the coolest thing you've ever heard.
Yeah.
And he does these screams in the booth, like I don't understand how he just walks out of that booth after when he does that. He doesn't fly.
Didn't he pass out once during?
Yeah.
during
Oh, yeah.
that, though?
He passed
blacked
out because the thing about Goku's voice is he has it high. It's high in his register, you know. So when you're doing a scream when it's really high, you can scream for a lot longer. When you have your mouth small, you know, you're trying to get that voice up high. You go really, really small. But when he was, I think it was Super Saiyan 3 or 4, he was doing a something, but that voice is a lot lower, so he had to have a lot more room in his mouth, thus more air in his lungs, and he passed out.
But there
like
are
575. Is that right?
575 episodes total.
He passed
Now-
out voicing Super Saiyan 4. Gotcha.
Dragon Ball Z Kai takes 291 episodes down to 167,
Yeah.
Well, that's considerable.
which is
It's like 130 savings or so.
yeah, it's a good bit less. You know, that's crazy. So that's just like some of the I wonder if they left I've never. It's 451 that way. I've never watched. I don't think the actual like car episode.
The driving episode?
Yeah.
There's a little nod towards it in a bridge, but I always hear about that one.
Yeah.
I wonder if they left that.
Want
in
to go
Kai
drive
or if they
cars?
took it out.
Bitchin'.
Yeah. So
But no, in that episode, it's my favorite because Goku's like going all over the track because, you know, he loves the feeling of speed, but Piccolo's going like 4 miles an hour, and his instructor's like, "You're doing so good, Mr. Piccolo." He's driving like a little old lady. The car filler is in Kakarot, kinda, which is funny. Yeah, I gotta finish Kakarot. I played like a little bit in the beginning, but I certainly didn't finish it.
But I don't know. Doing Dragon Ball stuff would be interesting. We haven't gotten to do any Dragon Ball since Dragon Ball Z Abridged.
We did.
You did some Super, but I was involved in that one.
We did Super, and then we did Legend of Dragon Ball Tale, that fan project.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
really cool.
That was
and
really
Boo
cool.
Bits, I guess, a little bit. That was a
Sure,
small
yeah.
little thing.
But I mean, Legend of Dragon Ball Tale is still. I mean, I know it's a fan thing, and this is sacrilege, but it's probably my favorite Dragon Ball thing I've ever seen.
I mean, it looked
It
great.
was
Yeah,
incredible.
I
just.
loved it.
I mean, but it was because it was in honor of Akira Toriyama.
Yeah.
You know, like. I mean, watch the first 30 seconds of that video. You get that right off the bat. But everything about that was great was because that guy was like, "Thank you, Akira Toriyama, for introducing this to me." And I'm still a patron of Nas Pasha. I still give that dude money every month just for the possibility of more.
More. Toon Rami says, "What is your favorite Dragon Ball reference made in any other anime?"
Oh.
Recently, Spy Family made one of the most hilarious references during a volleyball game of all things.
Yeah?
Sounds interesting.
My
remember
favorite,
that.
and Jake, you might be able to find this. Just find a compilation of all of the Yamcha poses. So many anime, when they need to show a character
Yeah.
either dead or broken in a hole in the ground, will do the Yamcha pose.
Yeah.
Don't we have a statue of the
We
Yamcha
do.
pose?
We do have a Yamcha.
That's one of my favorite
In the
references.
crater.
I'm not kidding. It's like
I do
saw
love
a video
that too.
or a picture the other day that was like 16 photos from various anime, some that we've seen. Dr. Stone made one. I remember that. I mean, Dr. Stone, I think, had like Saiyan armor at one point.
Yeah. Here's a few, and one that
Yeah,
I'm looking
that's
at.
one of them there. Naruto.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was one I was just looking at.
Naruto
Where
was. Yeah,
The
I think I said that
Uh huh.
in that reaction.
the top middle one looks familiar. The art style, at least, but I can't place it.
That looks like Hunter x Hunter to me.
The top middle.
Top middle, yeah.
I like Shang-Chi's Dragon Ball reference.
Shang-Chi.
I love that, like the MCU movie had like that so prominently.
I don't really have any other animes I can think of Dragon Ball references.
Yeah.
I don't think. But I love that as far as a Yamcha thing. 'Cause that's one thing I feel like Yamcha was known for was he, he
Well,
died.
and that's another benefit of watching Dragon Ball. I mean, Yamcha and Bulma, Oolong, Puar, like those types of characters are featured way more in that show.
Mhm.
And then they're kind of like put off to the side, either through power scaling or just moving on.
I was looking through to see if I remember anything from anything.
I always really like the whenever things reference like Goku's pre-fight like warm up where he like does his bounce.
His bounce, yeah.
And they, especially if they like concentrate on the feet,
Mm-hmm.
that happens in a lot of anime.
I'll tell you, my favorite Dragon Ball reference ever was in Dragon Ball Super. I know that sounds weird, but there's a part of Dragon Ball where Goku's fighting. I think he's fighting Grandpa Gohan, right? And they have this certain amount of choreography in Dragon Ball Super. Incidentally, Goku was in the same spot he fought his grandpa, and if you pay attention, Goku was doing the same exact moves from when he fought his grandpa in his like training regimen. And like they don't come out and say it, but if you know, you know. He's like replaying his battle with his grandfather in his head in that moment, and I just always loved that
And that's
homage within Dragon Ball Super to Gohan.
Huh. Okay. So that was done in Super, and it was referencing back in.
It was referencing a choreography from Dragon Ball when Goku fought his grandfather.
So I need to watch Dragon Ball so I can get that reference in
Yeah.
Super.
You do need to watch for many reasons. But I guess that if that's the only one you need, hell yes. Oh
Almost-
yeah, and then Darkwing also said in Super Goku he can't fly, so he needs flight. So he calls for Nimbus, and Nimbus comes, and it's the first time we've seen Nimbus like in a long, long, long time.
Sure, he's in the beginning of Z at
Yeah,
least, but then
exactly.
he can fly.
Yeah.
But then I mean he doesn't really need it anymore.
No.
But when he does need it, Nimbus comes, and Goku's so excited, and he sings. He's like Chala, head Chala.
He sings
He
it.
he sings that, So my version is like I hear Sean Shamel like sing that as he's like excited jumping on Nimbus. So that's another reference in the show to itself.
From the dub version with having like the Bruce Faulkner music and everything, is that ever used throughout watching like Dragon Ball Z or anything? So that's really just him acknowledging like is it Z or is it Dragon Ball like music?
It's Z. It's the first opening of Dragon Ball
the
Z.
original
Yeah.
opening for Z. Because that's what they used in Abridged.
Yes.
Was that song?
Yeah. Sparking.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that song.
Yep.
It's just that's fun to have to nod towards that. All
And
right.
then honestly, like I like the Faulkner score, but Super has just some amazing music throughout.
I don't see any more questions for Dragon Ball. There's a question talking about if we have any plans to watch Sandland that will premiere on Hulu, but
I haven't heard it.
I don't know what that is. So no current plans yet. But thank you. I believe that was from My Hero. And then Mando Jedi said, been rewatching Eric finishing Jedi Survivor. Noticed that you defeated the final boss on Jedi Master the first try. Congrats. You're a better gamer than you give yourself credit.
I was on Jedi Knight,
On Jedi Knight.
unless Aaron changed it. which he did.
I did
at one
change
point.
it. I don't know. We didn't talk about that all. I
Yeah,
guess
we
on,
didn't.
on things, but for the final, his final stream at least, which then he had issues. So then it was his
did.
final stream.
Yep.
And I don't know when he found out or anything, but
I didn't notice it. I mean, I was in some really crazy fights. Didn't even really notice it until I got to a part where I was going back through the ISB spot.
Yeah.
And there's like a lot of new stuff there, and it's really difficult. And I was like starting to struggle. I'm like, why am I struggling? I can beat these guys. And I'm like, oh, I'm on Jedi Master.
Did you go and look then?
I did eventually.
Okay.
Just because somebody was like, you should check.
So Eric, like, I was in chat a few times I wasn't there for every stream, but there was some times where I'm like, oh, how's he doing? He's like, oh, he went here and he beat this boss first try. I was like, first try, and like he went and did this, and he beat these guys. I'm like, geez, all right, man, he should have done higher difficulty.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And then after everything was done, I was like, all right, I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna change this to master, because at one point I attempted to remove his poncho because he got a poncho, and I'm gonna take his poncho off. I was gonna give you like a mullet and a Fu Manchu,
Yeah.
but you didn't have those.
Nope.
So I didn't do that. I just changed to something else. And then he just logged in and looked at it and was like, huh, must have changed my clothes and stuff at some point. Let me change these back. So I never got to see that part. But I would guarantee a mullet and a Fu Manchu would have stood out.
Yeah.
But I couldn't
It would have
find
looked
him.
intentional.
So that didn't work out. So then later on, after he had beaten stuff, I was like, I'm going to change this. He's going to go and clean up, maybe pick up some boss battles he didn't do yet or something. Like, let's change it this time. And he's just doing cleanup. Maybe it won't be so bad.
Yeah.
And then he had issues.
Once I
but-
discovered it, I left it on.
Did you?
Yeah.
I
But
think at that point, too,
I was
you
already
were-
so overpowered at that
you
point.
were pretty strong at that point too, so
Yep.
But yeah, it was.
I eventually got the mullet
Yeah.
in my last stream, I think. Maybe I'll do a mullet run one day.
But yeah,
Because New Game Plus, you just get everything.
everything.
Yeah,
You just get to continue
Yeah,
with it?
you get all the perks you've unlocked, all the stances you've unlocked. It has like a really cool mode where every time you die, it will just completely randomize your appearance, which sounds fun.
It sounds fun.
Yeah, I'm sure it will do stuff that I never would have done.
I wonder if, like, if it changes like your gun and lightsaber, I wonder if I'd like that more or less.
Yeah.
Like, I spend a lot of time sometimes like modifying the lightsaber in that to
Sure.
make it look like, oh, that's cool. I like that look.
Yeah.
So, but no, that sounds neat.
He already agreed to it, Jancy.
Jancy said, "Wait, what? I just joined. Eric, you're not getting a mullet."
We shook hands.
He's already gonna do it.
Yeah, I already took the money.
Yeah. He's also going to shave his beard, like
Yeah, that's where when we get the mullet.
Like Hulk Hogan.
Put this back here.
or Senator Singh will work too.
Yeah, that could work.
That'd be a good one. I like
Yeah,
that one
Senator
as well.
Singh was. Yeah.
That would be a lot of fun. So, all right. I think that's gonna be all for questions and everything. Let me go through and make sure for any kind of subs and everything we had and bit donations and whatnot. Appreciate everybody here on Twitch and also over on YouTube. Which, if you missed out or you're just joining in, the YouTube VOD and Twitch VODs will both be available immediately, so you can check out either of those. We have Ryan Whittleson, who resubscribed for 66 months.
Dang.
Execute order 66 months as a subscriber. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you,
We also have
Ryan.
memes.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
there's some memes too. All right. Well, we'll show a few memes as we continue. What's this?
Was he hunting?
Adobe.
Adobe. Tori has resubscribed for 40 months. Thank you so much, Tori.
Thank you, Tori.
Yes. Kill it. Kill it.
cries for war!
Thank you, Tori.
That's fun. Gara gave out 10 community subs. Thank you so much for gifting the subs.
Thank you, Gara.
Appreciate it so much.
Yeah, that was right when we started talking about the sad news.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Fruit Ninja. The stars are beautiful tonight. Sure is, Rick.
What?
I don't think I get that.
It's a reference to something I don't get.
Anyway, Gustavo Bruno has resubscribed for 48 months. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gustavo Bruno. I get that.
Yeah, I get that one too. Fomarock resubscribed for 57 months. Thank you, Fomarock.
Thank you, Fomarock.
We didn't talk about Rooster Teeth or Ruby or anything yet either. It better not be the last volume I watch. That's all I'm saying. Sorry.
Enzo Rio. How do you say Riou?
Ryu.
Has resubscribed for 3 months. Thank you, Enzo.
Thank you, Enzo.
Odeth G has resubscribed for 26 months.
What would that have been?
What?
Okay. Yeah. The hopes for solving this riddle.
BDDF? What was it? Dear Diary, the crazy riddle man is at it again. We mentioned this before, but SSG Jorge has resubscribed for 14 months. Thank you so much. All the hint hunters who know about checkers.
The isolation.
Dip602 has resubscribed for 74 months. Says, question for Eric. What's your favorite Kamehameha?
Okay, 3 immediately come to mind. The first is Goku's instant Kamehameha, where he's charging up and pointing down at the Earth, and Cell's like, hey, you'll never do that. You'll destroy the Earth. And he just teleports under Cell. He turns around, he just, I love that one. I love Master Roshi's greatest, most powerful Kamehameha in Dragon Ball Super. And I also, in the Tournament of Power, Goku at one point is fighting a very powerful person. He charges up his Kamehameha, and then they fire a blast at him, and he uses it to skid along their energy beam to get to the other side, and then is point blank right in their face. So there's my top 3.
All right.
Against Kefla, you're right.
There's the top 3. And then our last one here is from Daniel JPB, who has resubscribed for 4 months.
Thank you, Daniel.
So thank you, Daniel.
Thank
Who wakes up at 3 a.m. just to make a hint hunt? Oh, boy, 3 a.m. That's funny. No, thank you so much for all the hint hunters who try to crack the codes to figure out what shows are coming. High School DxD.
I love the crying one.
I love all of them. They're all great.
The next reaction where I've cloned myself 3 times and we'll be watching High School DxD. It's going to be great.
Oh, that's so funny.
What the heck?
I hate that so much.
Some people call me a bear. I remember that. Wow, it's nuts how well the beard works.
I know.
It's like a good color.
It is. That's why I hate it so much.
A barrack. Yeah, right? Look, it's barrack.
Oh, man, that's funny.
Blind waves.
Yeah. Oh, look at you, Aaron.
That was my first day at the beach. I was getting my tan.
Yep.
We understand.
Oh, yeah, sure. They used that one for you. What about the one when you were swimming? Remember that one?
I do.
You have one of those.
That was a good one.
Or where you were like in the beach water, right? Just
yeah. This is at a beach like literally, I don't know, 800 feet from Koaloa Ranch.
That's cool.
Where all the real cool stuff is filmed in Hawaii. This was just like on the side of the road. You could just park on the side of the road, and that's your view. And no one else was there. It was nuts.
No one.
Yeah,
no,
because
you couldn't
it was
see
against
any,
the law,
like,
Eric.
No, it was great.
That would be fun.
Oh, okay, cool.
Mod ban. There will be rock ban at at WaveCon.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
Yes, there
excited.
will.
I'm excited for that.
We need to have like options for karaoke to be like TV show openings. I think would be funny.
I do play a mean cowbell.
Yeah.
I love that. You're so into it.
What the? Why is Calvin on toast?
Because it's like Jesus.
What did we say or do that this happened? How did this occur?
Why did
I
this
remember
occur?
something about this.
That's one of the things sometimes where like memes, I'm like, oh, I get why this was made. But then sometimes something like this happens, I'm like, what?
Well,
why?
We say
we
a
were
lot.
talking. Oh, what was it?
We say a lot.
It was a Ben 10 reference.
Was it?
This is, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for the Calvin toast. Red. Is there any others, Jake? That's the last one.
Fun.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate the memes. Appreciate you guys joining the podcast. And we will be back, Eric and I, tomorrow for the Pokemon race.
That's what it was.
And I'm going to leave Aaron in my dust.
No.
Ship made toast with his face on it. He was a toaster, and he made toast with that looked like it was made out of Ship. And we're like, how does that work?
Yeah, I remember that.
And
So that's
somebody was
toast
like,
made out of Calvin.
I think Eric said like, well, you can get a toaster that has like Darth Vader's face on it.
I remember that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But yes, we'll be back tomorrow. Pokemon Platinum race. Eric and I will be continuing.
Yep.
We've gotten through one gym, I think, so we're going to be moving through a lot more gyms, and I'm excited to get to the Elite Four. But who will do it first, and who will have the most Pokemon along the way?
We'll see.
So, thank you guys so much for joining us today. Hope to see you guys tomorrow. Otherwise, have a good one, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.